Okay, joining us now for an Evening Edit exclusive, House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan. Congressman, okay, let's walk the viewer through what's going on, because this is complex. So, Is this a story? DOJ officials were caught spying on Congress. They illegally spied on congressional staffers who were working on the investigation of the botched Trump-Russia probe. What happened?
Right. We now know that they spied on congressional staffers. We want to know, how far does it go? Were they spying on members? Were they spying on other staffers? Never forget, Liz, we know they spied on President Trump's campaign. We know all that from the FISA court and what they did with Carter Page and Papadopoulos, everything else. Now we've learned that they spied on one of Senator Grassley's staff members, Jason Foster. We want to know, does it go further? So we've sent letters not only to the Department of Justice, but to all these carriers that the Department of Justice worked with to get the phone records, the email records from congressional staffers like Mr. Foster. How far does this go? Were they spying on members? Were they spying on other staff? We want to know, and that's what we're doing. Because, again, the chilling effect this has. Remember, we have a constitutional duty to do oversight of the executive branch. If members of Congress and their staff now think, well, wait a minute, is the federal government, is the executive branch spying on us, looking at everyone I call, looking at all the emails we send from our work phone, from our personal phone? That's going to have a chilling effect, and not to mention the separation of powers, which is a hallmark of our constitutional system.
Yeah, so how did you find out that they were spying on congressional staffers? I mean, what were they looking at? Phone records or emails? What was it?
Well, we think it's both, and after so much time, after 5-6 years, they let Mr. Foster know. Google did. So that's why we've sent a letter to Google and the other carriers, as well as to the Department of Justice. Give us the answers since 2016. What have you been doing? Who, if any, people have you been spying on? What phone records, what emails have you got from any congressional staff, or just as importantly, any members of Congress?
Okay, so this congressional staffer, Mr. Foster, who worked for Senator Grassley, he says he got an email from Google revealing Justice Department officials were demanding his own Google Voice records between, I think, December 2016 and May of 2017. And so now you're saying Apple, Google, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, you got to give us records on this. Is that what's going on?
Exactly right. We want to know who else. We want to know how extensive this was, who all was involved, how many, if any, other staffers they were looking into. Because remember, they were investigating the very people who were investigating the Justice Department. Because this is all in the context of the crossfire hurricane, the Trump-Russia issue. So that Mr. Foster, Mr. Grassley were investigating that. And so the Justice Department starts looking at them. We know they did the same thing to some of Devin Nunes' staff and House intelligence staff people. Yeah. So this is, how pervasive was this? How far did it go? We think the American people in Congress are entitled to those answers.
I mean, this
we're determined to get them.
It's a blatant abuse of power. It's a Fourth Amendment violation. They need probable cause warrants first. And now we're hearing a federal prosecutor who donated to Democrat campaigns. He's an assistant U.S. attorney in the Washington, D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office, subpoenaed the phone records of lawyers working for the Senate and House working on the Trump-Russia probe. I mean, this is not the America that people thought they grew up in. I mean, didn't the former director of the CIA, John Brennan, apologize in 2014 when CIA workers were caught spying on Senate intelligence staffers on their keyword searches and emails during the CIA waterboarding scandal? And it's still going on?
Yeah, there's that issue. And then I would also say this, Liz. So not only were they doing this to Republican staffers, it looks like, but we also know that when it came to investigating Democrats like the Hunter Biden, we know that they didn't run the investigation like they were supposed to. We just learned last week from U.S. Attorney in Pittsburgh, Scott Brady, who was tasked by the Justice Department on January 3rd, 2020, to look into the Hunter Biden Ukraine issues, all the information that was coming in. He was supposed to be the clearinghouse tasked by the U.S. Attorney, or the Attorney General, Bill Barr, to do this. Well, guess what? They never told him about the confidential human source until 6 months into his work, and they never once told him about the laptop. In fact, during the deposition a week ago, I asked Mr. Brady, I said, when did you learn about the laptop? And he got this smile on his face because he understood what I was asking. He said, I learned about the laptop when the story went public in the New York Post on October 14th, 2020. So think about that. He's tasked with all information from the government relative to Hunter Biden in Ukraine, and the FBI doesn't even tell him about the laptop, even though they had it for a year before that story went public.
Well, these are abuses of power, right? Chairman Jordan, you'll still be probing them. We'll stay on this story. Thanks for bringing it to us, this breaking news. We appreciate it.